A countdown timer is one of the simplest elements in digital commerce. Just numbers falling towards zero. And yet that simple device can make a calm shopping decision feel like an emergency. The product did not change. The room did not catch fire. The buyer was not actually placed in danger. But emotionally, the screen starts behaving like a threat surface. Suddenly, the mind is not only evaluating value, it is trying to outrun loss. That is why countdown timers feel bigger than they look. They do not just communicate time. They alter the atmosphere around the decision. They create the sense that delay has a cost, and that cost is approaching fast. Once that feeling arrives, the whole purchase becomes less reflective. The clock becomes the loudest object on the page. And when a clock becomes louder than the product, the seller has successfully turned time itself into part of the persuasion engine. Countdown timers work because time pressure changes the decision style itself. Under pressure, people compare less, tolerate ambiguity more, and rely on faster cues. That does not mean they become irrational in a dramatic movie sense. It means their thinking becomes narrower. They search for the quickest route to a defensible answer. That favors shortcuts, badges, bestseller labels, price anchors, default picks, scarcity language, anything that helps the mind stop searching and move. This is why urgency pairs so well with e-commerce architecture. The timer does not need to carry the whole persuasive load. It only needs to reduce the buyer's willingness to inspect the rest too carefully. Once careful comparison shrinks, the surrounding design cues get stronger. The urgent environment amplifies every other persuasion element on the screen. The clock is not just one tactic. It is a force multiplier for the rest of the system. Countdown timers rarely appear alone. They are usually part of a larger scarcity story. Sale ending soon. Hold expires in 9 minutes. Price changes at midnight. Booking not guaranteed after timer runs out. Limited drop. Final window. The timer gives shape to an invisible threat. It translates vague urgency into visible decline. Every second that disappears seems to make opportunity thinner. This matters because people do not need perfect evidence of scarcity for scarcity to affect them. They only need a believable enough signal that waiting may punish them. The clock makes that possible. It takes uncertainty and wraps it in motion. Motion is powerful. A static warning can be ignored. A falling clock creates a moving cost. It turns hesitation into an event. And once hesitation feels like an event, the buyer starts reacting to the lost path, not just the product path. Timers show up in places where hesitation hurts conversion. Travel booking is full of them because comparison is intense and abandonment is easy. Flash sale retail uses them because urgency can override browsing drift. Checkout pages use them because the buyer is close enough to conversion for pressure to matter. Food delivery uses them because appetite and time sensitivity already create a vulnerable state. The common thread is not the category. It is the decision environment. Timers live where the seller wants to shorten reflection without looking like it is simply demanding speed. The clock provides a clean excuse. It says the world is moving, not just the platform. It makes urgency feel external. Time is expiring. Inventory is changing. The offer is shifting. The slot is closing. That framing is useful because buyers accept urgency more easily when it looks like a property of the environment rather than a direct command from the seller. Countdown timers are effective partly because they are not only cognitive cues. They are emotional cues. A moving deadline can raise arousal. It can make the body lean forward, increase internal speed, reduce the appetite for slow checking. Even when the stakes are small, the sensation resembles mini stress. This is important because people do not buy with detached logic. They buy while their body is sending signals about threat, delay, safety, and relief. The timer adds pressure before the buyer has made a decision. That pressure makes completion feel like resolution, which means the platform is not only selling the item, it is also selling an end to the tension it created. Click now, and the countdown anxiety disappears. Miss it, and maybe you lose something. That is why timers can feel strangely intense relative to the size of the purchase. The pressure is not proportional to the object. It is produced by the design itself. The most effective timers often arrive after some commitment has already begun. You searched, filtered, selected, built the cart, entered details, narrowed the options. Now the timer appears. That timing is strategic. The buyer is no longer floating at the top of the funnel. They have momentum, which means urgency now interacts with sunk effort. Leaving does not just mean missing the deal. It can also feel like wasting the work already spent getting here. Restarting somewhere else means more comparison, more typing, more uncertainty, more hassle. The timer exploits that state beautifully. It turns the cost of delay into something immediate, while the cost of restarting remains mentally unpleasant. The path forward begins to look cleaner than the path away, even if the buyer would have preferred more time under calmer conditions. From the business side, countdown timers are attractive because they can change behavior without changing the core product. No new item. No bigger discount. No massive creative overhaul. Just a stronger framing of when the decision must happen. That makes them an obvious testing tool. Growth teams can add urgency, measure response, and refine copy around a simple mechanic that fits many contexts. And because the clock is visually loud, it often delivers disproportionate influence for relatively little implementation cost. There is also a deeper reason they survive. Timers align with how many modern systems already think. Campaign windows, inventory holds, limited offers, dynamic pricing, reservation logic, delivery slots. Even when the underlying scarcity is partly constructed, the operational language of time pressure feels normal to digital commerce. The timer becomes part of the grammar of selling online. Timers are not universally effective. They can backfire when the buyer senses theater too clearly. If the countdown resets every visit, if the scarcity claim feels exaggerated, or if urgency appears in a context that should feel calm and premium, the tactic can make the brand look cheap or desperate. This is especially risky in high-trust categories. Premium services, luxury products, professional offerings, or serious purchases often need confidence more than adrenaline. Too much urgency can make the seller look less certain of its own value. There is also fatigue. Buyers who live inside constant timer environments can become resistant, cynical, or numb. The tactic still grabs attention, but now it also activates skepticism. That is the tension. Timers can accelerate action, but they can also tax credibility. A page that behaves like an emergency room over a small purchase may win the click and lose the aura. To read a countdown well, do not ask only what happens when it hits 0. Ask what type of fear the page is trying to create. Is the timer signaling real inventory movement, a temporary hold, a campaign deadline, or just a generic urgency effect? Does the product still look strong without the clock? Would you make the same decision if the numbers were not moving? Are you speeding up because the offer is good, or because the environment now feels harder to stay calm inside? These questions help recover agency. They separate genuine operational timing from emotionally amplified pressure. They do not require total cynicism. They just keep the timer from becoming the main author of the decision. Because once the clock becomes the author, you are no longer mainly choosing the product. You are managing the discomfort of delay. And those are not the same purchase conditions. Countdown timers feel like emergencies because they recruit both mind and body into a faster mode. They compress comparison, amplify scarcity, increase arousal, raise the cost of delay, and make completion feel like relief. That last part matters. The clock does not only threaten loss, it offers release. Buy now and the pressure ends. Wait and the uncertainty grows. Once you see that, the timer stops being a neutral interface detail. It becomes part of the emotional architecture of the sale. A device that changes not just what you think, but how quickly you want the thinking to be over. That is why timers are so widely used. They turn normal buying into a race against an invented or amplified horizon. Sometimes that horizon is real. Sometimes it is mostly staging. But in both cases, the psychological effect can be similar. The clock makes ordinary commerce feel urgent by making time itself look like a disappearing asset. And once time looks scarce, buyers often start acting as if calm has become a luxury they can no longer afford.